Imagine inheriting a billion-dollar supercomputer, only to discover the technical manual was secretly replaced with abstract poetry. You might find the poetry moving, but because the software language is incompatible, the machine remains dormant. The system fails to boot. This scenario describes a massive historical category error. Modern theology has treated the ancient biblical texts, the hardware, with a lens of abstract philosophy that is entirely incompatible with the original operating system. Correcting this error requires the 13-point Scripture Master Charter. This diagnostic tool is designed to strip away denominational biases and evaluate the text strictly by its own internal logic. The bedrock of this charter is point 1, absolute immutability. In any stable system, you must establish a constant before measuring variables. The text defines the creator's nature and his standards for systemic order as entirely fixed. If the creator's standard is immutable, then the perceived shifts between the Old and New Testaments reveal a change in the reader's perspective rather than a mutation of the physical laws of the text. The Greek mindset, which has dominated Western thought for 1700 years, focuses on design. It relies on static nouns and categorizing an object by its abstract essence or material form. The ancient Hebrew mindset focuses on kinetic function. It ignores aesthetics to prioritize verbs and actions, asking only how an object operates within a larger ecosystem. This cognitive divide changes how we view the universe. A Greek thinker describes the sun and moon as material spheres of burning gas and cratered rock. The Genesis account describes these same bodies strictly by their operation. They function as a massive celestial gear system for tracking appointed times, seasons, and years. We see the same pattern with an ancient altar. A Western, Greek-trained mind observes a static rectangular block of unhewn stone. The Hebrew word for altar, mizbeach, literally translates to a place of slaughter. Its identity is inseparable from its physical operation. Without the action, it ceases to be an altar. This reflects the academic consensus of the ancient Near East. Existence is defined by function. If a thing is not performing its assigned action, it effectively does not exist within the ordered system. This functional priority is baked into the atomic level of the original Paleo-Hebrew pictographic alphabet. The first letter, aleph, an ox head, represents the strength to pull a plow. The second, bet, a tent floor plan, represents shelter. Combined into the word for father, ab, it describes the strength of the house, a functional role, not just biology. The shift away from this kinetic operating system happened through a series of historical events that introduced a virus into the code. Following the Bar Kokhba revolt in 132 AD, Roman Emperor Hadrian initiated a brutal crackdown on Jewish practices. To survive, the early church distanced itself from anything that appeared functionally Jewish. By 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea officially standardized interpretation using Platonic dualism, the belief that the physical world is crude and only abstract thoughts are pure. This deauthorized the physical instructions of the manual. A kinetic system for living was replaced by a static list of intellectual creeds. This transition left believers with an intellectual system that felt dead. They had the correct theological nouns, but the machine lacked power. In the 20th century, the charismatic movement tried to solve this by flooding the theological void with raw emotional and spiritual power. The ancient text links the Spirit and the law by stating that the Spirit's purpose is to cause the walking in the statutes. This binds the two into a single synergistic loop. Visualize this as a circuit. The law provides the heavy copper wiring, while the Spirit provides the raw electricity. Harnessing the Spirit while throwing out the law removes the wiring. 10,000 volts hit the ground in an uncontrolled arc. This creates ghost power syndrome, where subjective emotional feelings substitute for the functional instructions of the manual. The manual itself identifies the engineered function of the Spirit. It is the power designed to enable the execution of the physical statutes. Without the function of the law, the Spirit is like an engine running in neutral. It generates heat and noise, but the vehicle cannot move forward. Restoration requires turning abstract religious concepts back into kinetic root functions. In the West, law evokes a static courtroom and a punitive verdict. The Hebrew root yarah defines Torah as a trajectory, like an arrow released under specific tension to hit an optimal target. It is an instruction manual for human performance. Concepts like love and faith are observable actions, giving, obedience, and serving as a reliable structural pillar. Using the archery metaphor, sin is the simple act of missing the mark. You are holding the bow and aiming for the target, but you fail due to human weakness. Lawlessness is the terminal rejection of the target entirely. It is the calculated, philosophical decision that the manual is no longer valid. In corporate terms, lawlessness is an employee walking into the CEO's office, declaring the company operating procedures invalid, yet still demanding full benefits. Using grace as an excuse to avoid physical function invalidates the mechanism itself, whereas the manual presents grace as the power to maintain the trajectory. These appointed times, or moedim, function as a planetary operating system tied to the rotation and orbit of the Earth. They are built into the physics of the planet. Biology operates under the same immutable laws. The cross steps down infinite voltage to protect the human system, but it does not change the biological function of a scavenger animal designed to process toxins. Reading the source code correctly requires a shift from abstract nouns to kinetic, observable verbs. Imagine your daily habits and physical inputs filmed on mute. Strip away the theological labels and the claims you make with your mouth. Measured strictly by the original manual, are your physical actions functioning to generate order within the Creator's ecosystem, or are you creating chaotic static?